Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Ryan Ruggles. He is a big deal at his district. He's the director of curriculum, and he's coming from Wisconsin. So it's K through 12. I think it's called the School District of Milton. It's in Milton, Wisconsin, and I think you guys have four elementary and maybe two middle schools and a high school.
Correct. We got four elementaries. We have a intermediate school for 4, 5, 6, and then we have a 7, 8 middle school.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you for being with us today, man. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you let our listeners know, would you be kind enough to share what your journey was like to become a director of curriculum? Because that's a really big deal at a school district because that there's a lot of responsibility on your plate. So how did that all come about?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been a really fun journey. Been a kind of inspirational and um, uh, action-packed journey, if you will. Got my start as an assistant principal in Watertown High School and worked there for a couple years, and worked my way up to a principal in Sun Prairie, where I was there for 9 years. My family and I took a kind of leap of faith, if you will, and went overseas for a short time, where I was a principal of a school, an international school in Doha, Qatar. So we had been talking about for a while as a family about moving overseas and just making that jump, and had the opportunity, and we wanted to show our our kids, because we have three right now, a 17, 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. We wanted them just to go for their dreams, and we wanted to show the courage that it takes just to get up and just try something new and take yourself out of your comfort zone. So spent a little bit of time overseas. And then when we decided it was time to come back and get a little bit closer to family, uh, I knew I wanted something different. I knew I wanted to be in admin still and work in schools, but I wanted to have a greater effect. And that's really what brought me to this role here. Um, that I love being a principal because I could affect change on the entire school, not just my classroom, not just my students, whether it's 20 or 100. I could help the entire school move forward and just be positive influence on the entire community. Um, so with that, moving into the curriculum role, I I knew I could help on a wider scale, not just one school, all of our schools. And what I love most about this position is that it's something new every single day. Kind of like being a principal. It's never the same. It's always something different, right? Some days are triage and really busy, and some days are maybe you actually get to your to-do list and can check some things off your boxes. But on any given day, I might be in a meeting in the morning on early literacy, and then I might be heading over to the high school to work on some ACT kind of work around our data with teachers in the afternoon. So I love that aspect of my job. So and I always say I'm never the smartest guy in the room. What I'm good at is just reading the room and uh, putting my good people in positions to lead, and then making good collaborative decisions together. So um, that that's what I really love about this position.
That's awesome. And just out of curiosity, and this is, I know I sent a few questions for you in advance, but I just kind of feel, I just, I feel like I need to ask this: how you're developing and designing
Mhm.
the entire curriculum, right? You're overseeing all of that, what the kids are learning. How important to you is supporting them with their mental health? Because we have reading, you have reading literacy, math, you have the science, you have everything else. But where does their SEL skills and their mental health fall
Mhm.
into that?
Absolutely, it goes hand in hand with everything that we do. Kids aren't going to learn if they don't feel safe. I mean, that's number one. And we can go back to that hierarchy of needs. I mean, it's just so true.
Mhm.
Kids feel safe, they feel connected. Uh, they're going to learn so much more. They're going to open themselves up. So we always say here, relationships first. So with our SEL practices, even as you look at our walkthrough forms, as we get into kind of our instructional model, a big part of that, actually have reference to SEL standards on our walkthrough forms, because we want to make sure that our teachers are practicing that on a regular basis. They're reaching out, they're They're making connections, they're building those relationships, because we know if you do that in the classroom, boy, you can just really, you can get kids to go so far academically if you work on those SEL skills first. So we try not to approach it as something separate, like a silo. Like we try to embed it in all that we do.
Great. Awesome. And then what, as you were growing up as a kid, did you have any struggles internally that you were going through that you
Oh,
feel comfortable sharing with us?
oh yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's one of the reasons I gravitated towards middle school. I started at high school as a teacher and an AP, but then became a middle school principal for 9 years. And one of the reasons that I was really drawn to that level is I struggled as a middle schooler. I really did, and I know that's probably true for a lot of folks. If you ask folks, if you go back to any time in your life, where would it be? Nobody says middle school. Nobody says middle school. You know, it's tough. A lot of things going on, and I really struggled during those years. I was a little bit bigger. I was very self-conscious about that. My teachers, and back in the day, I'm trying to think what years that would have been, they had a system where you had to make it a full week without staying after school to get your name off the board. You know, it was a little old school that way, right?
Mm.
I had to stay after school, I think, every day for my 7th grade year. You know, I was always talking, I was always getting into trouble. And the reason I just wasn't sure of myself, you know, so I acted out, and I had some behavioral issues, nothing major, but always something going on. And I really was drawn to middle school because of that experience. Like I knew it was tough for me. And I wanted to be that voice for middle schoolers to help them get through that tough time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry you went through that. But the cool part is you took that pain you went through and you're turning it into a purpose to help other kids that are the same age that you were, that were struggling as well. So you can, kind of be the light for them and build
Absolutely.
them up. So that's awesome. And then is there maybe anything that you'd like to share, any advice, final thoughts, with our listeners?
Mhm. Uh, just that relationship first piece, you know, it's so important. And I think sometimes we rush because we feel like in the classroom we have to do so much. And yes, if we follow every single standard that the state and the federal government gives us, you know, we would be in school 24/7, 365 days, you know, a
Right.
year. We're never
Right.
going to get all those standards. We're never
Right.
going to get those standards. So got to do a deep dive into those standards. Okay, what is the most important things we need of our students? Let's focus on that. Give ourselves permission to not be perfect. Give ourselves permission to focus on the most important. And then within that, just we always forget, and even though we know that relationships are so important, when things get a little crazy, like they have over the last couple of years with the pandemic, we start to go back to what we know. We start to go back to lecturing. We start to go back into more is better because we got to get kids through this because they miss
Right.
out on things.
Right.
And we have to take a step back and say, no, we know what best practice is. That is not best practice. Our kids not miss out. All right. That may be delayed, maybe. But more than anything, we have to give ourselves permission to do things differently. And say that it's okay. It's okay that we're not going to get through all this set of standards, because at the end of the day, what are the most important things? The most important things, those students are developing good lifelong habits, so some good skills they can take on to the next level, whatever that is going to be for them. I would say our job is not to decide if kids are college ready. Our job is to deliver kids at the end of graduation, so every path is still open for them. They have skills to go down any road that they want to go, and then it's their choice. So what are we doing to get students ready for that choice in their life?
That's great. And the fact that you're putting SEL skills, their emotional, what's going on inside of them, that you're putting that up so high, that's great, because without that, everything else falls apart in their life now and later. So the fact that you guys are making that importance is wonderful to hear. And that it sounds like the number one for you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is developing relationships with the kids. So if something is going on internally, you guys have a stronger relationship with them versus just saying, "Hey, good morning." It's deeper than that. It's not just a
Absolutely.
small talk. You really want to know the kids, and you can sense, maybe little Bobby's not feeling well, or Jenny seems a little different today. Let's kind of talk about that. Let's see what's going on.
Yep,
So that's
absolutely.
great. Yeah. Good on you, Ryan, man. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for taking time out of your hectic schedule. And I hope it warms up out there in Wisconsin so you can do some more running and not freeze to death while you're doing it.
Yeah, it's no good for running outside right now. Another month or so, but yeah. No, I thank you for your time, and I love the topic, and I think it's important that people like you keep shining a light on that, because I think we need that. We need more advocates all in the world of education to say, stop. Things are great. Like, we have a really good system here. Our system is not broken. We have room to grow, and we got things to improve. Absolutely. But let's focus on the kids and not the politics, and do good things and do right by kids.
That's awesome, man. Thank you, Ryan, for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
That was